Well, the Albanese government will very quickly learn the gulf between making noise in opposition and finding answers in government. Right now, wherever the Albanese government turns, make no mistake, I've been around a long time and I've seen it. There is trouble with a capital T. It has a margin of 1 in the House of Representatives. It needs the Greens +1 to get legislation through the Senate, but that isn't even the problem. On today's issues, such as the voice and energy, only one question needs to be answered by us: is the policy right? The Energy Minister, Chris Bowen, whom I would argue is way out of his depth and a prisoner of ideology, can flap his arms around as much as he likes, as he did last week in the Parliament, and I'll come to that in a moment. But after years of endless talking about climate change and energy policy, we are no closer to a policy that, above all else, safeguards, secures and advances our economic well-being. It's all very well getting hairs on your chest saying we'll get rid of oil and gas and coal and fossil fuels by 2030 and we'll have net zero emissions by 2050 and suddenly your back teeth will become your front teeth. This is just meaningless rhetoric. What will be the cost to Australia? We're facing massive price rises in electricity already, and gas, the inevitable result of trying to force more energy out of a system that is starved for energy. As I've said many times, demonise coal-fired power, you'll struggle to get investment in it. You are therefore forcing energy out of a system that desperately needs it. I've quoted often the internationally acclaimed president of the think tank, the Copenhagen Consensus Centre, who argued only last month, and I quote again, the climate policy approach of trying to push consumers and businesses away from fossil fuels with price spikes is causing pain with little climate payoff. Solar and wind are still only capable of meeting a fraction of global electricity needs, unquote. And Chris Bowen, flapping his arms around in the Parliament, presumably knows more than the chief scientist to Barack Obama, who I've told you many times, said in his recent book, Unsettled, what climate science tells us, what it doesn't, and why it matters. Quote, I'm quoting him, Chief Scientist to Barack Obama. Leaders talk about existential threats, climate emergency, disaster, crisis. But in fact, when you actually read the literature, there's no support for that kind of hysteria. The science is insufficient to make useful projections about how the climate will change in coming decades, much less what effect human beings will have on it. The chief scientist to Barack Obama. Needless to say, when he wrote the book, he couldn't get an interview on American television. You see, they don't like those truths being told.